Hi, this is David at Highland Camper Vans and welcome to the handover video of the Globecar Roadscout. We're going to take you around, show you the key functions and controls of the vehicle, so when you're out and about your first set of travels, you'll know what to do. I recommend bookmarking the video or maybe downloading it to your device so you have it as a handy reference of when you're out and about. So first of all, on the side of the van you will find the freshwater fill. It's just a case of unlocking it on the cap, twisting it and removing the cap itself. And then you'll notice there's an infill hole. Take your fill hose, be it a camp hose or your own hose, just insert and just keep on going. Normally what you want to do is just, when you see the water spill out the top here, that lets you know it's full. But you can also use the cab control panel to double check how much water's on board if you don't want a full tank for travel. To access under the bonnet, you would first need to open the passenger door, and this is where you'll find the bonnet release latch just tucked here onto the end of the dashboard. Give it a wee pull down, and that will then release the bonnet itself. Moving around to the front of the van. To find the bonnet release, line up with the badge, slide your hand under the bonnet, and then about a finger span away you'll find the safety latch there for the bonnet itself. The bonnet stay, that just lifts up from here, locates in the red hole, like so, and then lock it to the side. Under the bonnet, tucked right in the far corner, you're going to find just down there, you can see it just down there, is the screen wash. That's it there. Moving around, you're going to see the coolant tank, brake reservoir just here as it were. And then under the other side of the bonnet, you will find, hiding down here, is the positive terminal if you ever need to boost the battery of the vehicle. Could be on a winter layup that the battery may be a little weak to start the car, and you may need to provide a booster pack. So that's the positive terminal hiding under this flap here. Negative terminal is this point just here, as it were. And then located on here, we have our dipstick and our oil reservoir fuel. So on the passenger side of your van, you will find the access port for the cassette toilet. So first thing you need to do is you will need to use your key to unlock it to gain access. Then once you've got open, just lift up the lid and you'll see the cassette toilet just tucked inside. So the blue lever just here allows us to retract the toilet. So we lift this up and we pull the toilet out. Now incidentally, you do need to make sure that the flap for the toilet is closed. You won't be able to pull this out unless that flap is shut. If you are trying to pull this out and the toilet's not releasing, go inside, check the toilet, make sure the flap is closed. This will then allow you to release this. So you pull this out, and then you have a little trolley handle here which will extend as the thing is on wheels. And then what you would do is you would flip this part round, extend it out to undo this, and then use the handle here to tip out. Use the pressure valve here just to release the pressure of the toilet for tipping out. Once you're done, obviously give the toilet cassette a wee flush out and then add a little bit of water. What I would normally say is fill it to just above the wheels and then add in your favourite chemical, be it liquid. You could use the measuring cap on the top here for that, or what is popular is the little pods. Add that in. Once you're done, obviously put the ring all back, take your toilet cassette and then slide it back into place until you hear it click. So if you listen carefully, there's the click. I'd always say just give it a quick wiggle just to make sure it is definitely secured back into place. Now obviously do be responsible when it comes to using the toilet. So for emptying, use a proper service point or take the cassette home and just empty the toilet cassette at home. Don't empty the toilet cassette on the roadside or into drains. It's definitely frowned upon and you can get yourself in a bit of trouble with that. So yes, do dispose of the toilet chemical responsibly. So down on the passenger side of the van, near to the rear wheel, you will notice this little bit just here. This is actually the waste drain for your vehicle. Now you will need the waste drain tool, which is this little chappy just here, and it has a little square hole which goes in on the end here, and then you just basically turn this. I'll just show you if I put it the right way around. Hold on, there we go. And you just turn this and that will then release your drain. What I would recommend is that when you're draining your wastewater out, is leave it open, and then the next drive out, it'll just quickly slosh out the last of the tank, as it were, for when to drain down. And then when you need to tap close, you just rotate it back into the closed position. And that is you. So just inside the van, above the sliding door, you're going to find the Truma control panel for the heater and the Globecar habitation control panel. Very simplified to use. The symbol up here lets us know that at the moment the van is receiving power from an external source, so it's on electrical hookup. If this light was off, the van's not receiving power. So it does mean if you have plugged in a cable to the van because you want to use an electric hookup and you haven't seen this symbol, it probably means that either the cable's not plugged in properly or you may have forgotten to switch the power on at the other end. Power the system up with a button here. As you can see, lights come on, and you've got a little green light here to let you know that the system is armed. Then over here we've got three simple buttons. We have ledger battery status, fresh water status, wastewater status. Now the waste tank is empty at the moment, so there's no light comes up for it. And that's the HAB control panel. And when you want to switch it off again, you just press the button here to power everything all down. Moving over to the Truma control panel. Okay, this is very simplified to use. So you power on by pressing the button here to power the system on, as it were. You can see the little symbol here to let us know that this system is on electrical hookup. So you have four symbols across the top here. Fan temperature for heat, water temperature, energy source, fan speed. So to turn the heating system on, you first of all going to want to pick your energy source. So let's go into here. You have gas, mix 1, which is gas and electric mode, and then you have mix 2, which is gas on higher electric mode, then electric hookup 1, electric hookup 2. Some campsites will have a requirement for you to use low power, which will be electric 1, or if you're allowed to use unlimited power, you can go electric 2 for better energy. Now we're on hookup, so we're going to use electric 2. So we can press the button to select that. Moving across to the van, we're going to select this, and this is going to set our temperature. So we're going to rotate the dial, and we're going to pick, let's have a nice 18 degrees. I'm going to press this again, and you can now see that we now have a flame symbol up here. This lets us know that the heater is now active. Okay, we're now going to put the hot water on. So go into the hot water, press the button. You have two modes for the hot water. Eco, which is about 40 degrees, great for washing dishes. And then you have a hot mode, which is about 60, 70 degrees, which is for the shower. We're going to pick Eco for now. So last one on the far right here is the heater fan speed. So you've got normal mode or you've got a high mode. So we're going to pick high mode just now. And there we go. So now you can see the symbols on the system here. So these two are flashing just now. The reason they're flashing is to let you know that the van is not at temperature and the boiler's not at temperature. When these two go solid, it means that the heat is reached the degree, desired 18 or whatever you set, and the hot water system has reached the desired temperature on board. To power everything all down for travel and away, okay, this is very straightforward. We are going to go into the system. We're going to start at the left, all the way to the right, and work our way to the left. Very easy. So we're going to select this here, press the button, rotate this to the left, click, go left one, click, all the way to the left, click, left, click, and again, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm working my way across, all the way to the left to make sure everything is all powered down. You'll know everything is off because there are no symbols across the top of the control panel here. So you can see nothing about the little van, nothing about the temperature or the gas energy or for the fan here, as it were. That's the system ready to be powered down. A couple other symbols. This one just here is for the timer. This is for clock, to set the clock. And this is to go into the settings to maybe reset the unit. Now this is important. You do need to power the Truma system down first before switching off the HAB panel. So if this is on, this must be off first before you power this down. The reason for that is sometimes the Truma panel, if you switch this off and you've got this on electric, but it's not hooked up, can sometimes go looking for a 12-volt supply and it can't find it, and it may throw an error code up because it's looking for an energy source and the energy source has been switched off. So to turn the power this off, you hold the center button down. Just hold it down, and after a few moments you'll see the word off. There it goes. Once the screen goes dark, that is it powered down. We can now turn the control panel off safely. and that is your HAB control panel. So located just above the sink is the control interface for your Dometic fridge. Very simple. You have the power on button here, and then you have indicators for what energy mode we're using and how cool the fridge is operating as well, with a couple of extra buttons here which I'll explain as we go. So to power the fridge on, we hold the power button down for a few moments and it will light up. There we go, and it lights up, and that's now the fridge working. So what is going on with this control panel? So you've got 3 lights here, or 3 modes if you like. So you have performance mode, which is your normal operating mode. The control panel will use energy as it needs to maintain fridge temperature for you. You then have quiet mode. So there we go, quiet mode. Quiet mode puts the fridge into night mode. So it puts it on a very low compression cycle. Ideally, if you're in the van sleeping at night and you maybe find the noise of the fridge just a little bit too much. Now, when the fridge is in night mode, do try to avoid opening the door too many times, as it were, because the fridge won't be really able to cool the fridge back down again. It's just maintaining temperature. Okay. If you just turn the fridge on for the first time and you need to get things cool, you'll need it in boost mode. So boost mode is telling the fridge system to get the fridge to temperature as fast as possible. Use as much energy as you need, get the fridge to temperature. Ideal if you've just turned the fridge on and you're wanting to travel away in the next hour or so and you want to get things cooled, or you've packed the fridge with some fresh items and you want to get them chilled as fast as possible. You may want to get the fridge boosted to get it to operate as quickly as possible. But normal operation would be performance mode. So we're going to switch that back to performance mode. Whoop. Too many presses. There we go. Now this little button here, this controls the temperature for the fridge. So all we do is we just press this one here and we just select what level we want. Normal operating level would probably be about 2 or 3. That is more than enough to keep your fresh goods chilled in the fridge. If you've got other items that need to be a slightly lower temperature, then you can obviously boost the fridge. What I would recommend is just try different temperature settings to see what works best for you and your energy usage. Now, a point of note, the fridge unit here is on a 3-way system. So the control panel will dictate to the fridge where the energy source is. So if the van is running and you want to run the fridge while you're driving, which makes sense if you drive to a campsite, you want to keep your goods cold, as it were, you need to turn the engine on and then turn the control panel on, and that will then automatically operate on the vehicle battery. When you're hooked up, the system will then automatically use electrical energy, and if you're off-grid or not on hookup, then the control unit will use gas to keep the fridge ignited, as it were. If you no longer require the fridge to be operational, you just hold the button down here, keep holding it down until the lights all switch off. There we go. And then your fridge will then switch off. You may hear the compression of the fridge just run for a few moments after. That is perfectly normal behavior. After a few moments, the fridge will go silent. You can always double check by opening the fridge door and there'll be no lights on inside of the fridge. And there we go, that's your fridge control panel. So, 2 gas burners on the left-hand side of the sink. So you've got your larger one and a slightly smaller one here. And they are controlled with these 2 gas taps just here, as it were. This one on the left does the top one. The one on the right does the lower one here. What you need to do to turn the gas on is just push the button down, rotate. So just to the left of the sink, we've got our 2 cooker rings. We have the larger cooker ring at the top and the slightly smaller one at the bottom here. And they are controlled by these 2 knobbies here. This one on the left controls the top one. The one on the right controls the one at the bottom for you. And then you have your igniter just here, as it were. So to operate the gas, you do obviously need to make sure you've turned the gas on at the bottle and you've done the isolator tap. You'll see those in part of this video. So to turn the gas on, push the knob down and rotate it until you hear the gas flowing, and then press the igniter. Hold the button down for a few moments to give the firm a couple of chances to warm up, and that is your gas. And once you're done, just turn the knob all the way around to these are at the 6 o'clock position and the 2 lines up here, and then that is the gas off. I would always recommend, just as a top tip, just have a quick listen just to make sure that the gas has switched off. So there we go, we can't hear any gas. It means these are switched off. Now, if you have been cooking, these rings are going to be hot. So don't pull this down. You see there's a wee warning stick to remind you. Give this a good 5-10 minutes to give it cool down. And once you're ready, you can then close the transport cover like so, as it were. And that is your cooker rings. Point of note is if you are using the gas rings inside the van, do make sure you have a point of ventilation, be it opening the side window, or you have the door open, or you have one of the skylights open. Don't use the gas source for cooking if there's no ventilation in the van. It's just a safety concern. So located just by the bed and by the washroom, you're going to see these 3 grey taps. Now these grey taps are your isolated taps for your gas source. Now at the moment, they are currently in the closed position. Okay, so what we have here is we have cooking facilities, and then we have the boiler one. The one in the middle is not actually used. There is no tap just here, as it were. But to turn the system on, all you have to do is just rotate the taps like so, and that will open those taps up for you. There is a little sticker just hiding here, just to remind you, as it were. But the way to look at it is, these are the exit pipes here. The gas needs to come in and then go through, as it were, and that will turn on the gas systems. Now, I do recommend before travel, just quickly switching them off, just for safety, as it were. It's simple enough to turn them back on if you need to. You can also turn the bottle off at the in the back at the regulator point as well for extra safety, but definitely for travel purposes, you want to switch these off. So inside the washroom, you're going to find the shower tap, which is just located here. So the shower tap turns on like the sink tap. You just turn it on like so, and it operates away. Now, the shower head does have this lock mode on board. So if you press this here, like so, and then you now have a trigger action for the shower. So when the tap is on, it will only action when I press the trigger on the shower. So if you want precise control of the shower head, as it were. To lock the shower head back into the open position, just pull this down and slide it forwards, and you should see it should now stay flat. That will now act as a tap mode. I would recommend for travel purposes just to put this into trigger mode, just so it doesn't accidentally spurt water. So for the shower itself, this will actually come out of the tap. You just retract it out and it hooks up onto here. For the shower doors, make sure the shower doors are open on both sides with the magnet meeting in the middle. And then this little internal divider will come across like so, and that will stop water splashing into the back. Don't forget to remove the duct board. Obviously, the duct board's going to get wet. There are 2 little plug holes on either side. There is plugs for them if you wanted to rinse and clean the floor without the water draining away straight away. But normally you would leave those out just to let things flush away. So, toilet located just here. Now the toilet bowl does swing around for better comfort, okay? And then for the toilet, obviously you lift the lid, and then to use the toilet, there's a little flap just down here which you need to action first. So you will see, you might not be able to see it in the video here, it's a bit dark. There's a little flap that opens and closes. So obviously you want the flap open when you're using the toilet. Once you've done, there's a little button just here which will activate the flush. About 3 seconds is normally more than enough to get things moving through. Once you're done, do close the flap. Okay, that just stops any smells coming back up through the toilet. So for checking the toilet to sort of see how it's getting on, there is, hiding down the back here, a little indicator just down here. When that goes red, it lets you know that the toilet cassette at the back here is ready for emptying. And that is your bathroom. So in the back of the van, just under the bed area, you'll find the access port for the freshwater tank. And this is useful for draining down or for putting the water tank into transport mode. So you can see here on the sticker, you've got a little bit here about putting the water into transport mode, and here about closing and open the taps for the drainage side of things. So what do we mean by transport mode? So you can partly open the tap and it will only drain the tank down to a certain part, in this case here to 20 litres. This gives you plenty of water for using the shower, the boiler, the toilet flush, etc. But also reducing the weight of the van for transit. You can obviously, when you reach a campsite, if you want to fill the tank to the full, you can obviously add water on board. But this gives you enough water to transport and have water available if you decide to stop and camp off grid. So to access these ports, you just lift this little flap up here. There's a little handle, and then inside you'll find the freshwater tank. So this bit just here, this is just a service port for the tank itself. So if you want to add cleaner or flush out, as it were, this is a way for you to access it. But this here is the drain valve. So the way the drain valve works is you are quarter of a turn round to open the tap itself. So if we turn, we'll start the draining process. You'll see water draining from underneath the van like so, and that will then stop when the water reaches that 20-litre section. If you wanted to completely drain the water, okay, you would turn this 2 full turns, and that will then drain all the water out of the van for you, as it were. And that's the fresh tank. So, hiding down in the garage area, right at the very back, you will find the frost protection valve. That's that little chap there with the blue toggle on board. Okay, so this is a thermostatic valve. This will trigger automatically if the external temperature drops too low, and it will then empty the boiler and drain water straight out the bottom. Now, as part of your winter drain down, you do need to turn this off in order to drain the boiler. So it's a case of twist that there, you'll hear water drain out the bottom of the van. You'll know when it's open, there's a little grey toggle which sticks out. If that's sticking out, this is open. Shut that there, push in the trip, and that will then allow the boiler to continue to fill. So if it has been rather wintry and you're coming into the van, it's worth just giving this a quick check. Just reach in, give it a quick feel. If you can feel the little grey toggle sticking out here, this has engaged, and that means you probably need to reset the system, and you'll probably need to put water back into the tank. Just above this, above the boiler, you can see right at the back there is the RDC board. Now you can actually access this with a flap above the bed area there to access the RDC board at the back, and that has your trip fuses and main trip switches on board. So tucked in the garage on the rear side of the vehicle, you'll find the gas locker. You have your information sheets just here for the gas as well, and then you have 2 bottles on board with your single pigtail. So gas, as before, you would just basically turn the bottle on and off at the top here to open the valve and shut the gas taps, as it were. I would recommend closing the taps off for transport purposes, as it were, just for extra safety. And then when you arrive on site, just quickly turn the bottles on, turn your isolators on, and you are good to go. You have a little gas spanner down here for disconnecting the gas pipes. In the back of the van, you're going to find these 2 reading lights. There's one on this side and there's one on the opposite side, just over here. Now, they sit on this electrical track rail just here, and you can move the lights. All you need to do is just give them a quarter of a turn, and then you can physically move them up and down, or you can remove them and move them to wherever you need them to be. To put them back on, just hook them in, turn until they click into place, and that will allow you to move the lights. You can get additional items for these rails, so extra lights. You can even get a USB block for charging mobile devices as well. So the interior skylight, that is very simple to operate. You have a wind down handle here which comes down, and that allows you to wind the skylight up and down like so. So when the skylight is being closed, do pay attention to the little gauge just here. What you want to see is a little red tag. Let you know, there's the red tag there. That lets you know that the skylight is now fully locked in place. There is one located on the opposite side here as well. You want to make sure these are both engaged. That lets you know that the skylight is fully closed and there's no fear of the skylight physically coming open while you're driving. If you don't see a light here, just wind it down a little bit more until you see the little foot here engage into the skylight, and that lets you know that the lock is in place. So the swivel action on the front seats, you'll see a wee leather on the side of the seat, which is this one just here. So to action the swivel action, you just need to pull the lever back, and that will then free the seat itself to allow it to rotate. There's one other side. I would always strongly recommend that you rotate the seat while not sitting in it. This allows you to control the action of the seat and make sure that the back of the seat isn't bumping into things like the handbrake leather or the side dash panel of the doors. To rotate the seats back, just rotate them in, and then you should hear a click. Okay, that's them in position. I would always recommend giving the seat a wee wiggle to make sure it is locked back into its forward position. This handle should also be located forward as well. So inside the vehicle on the driver's seat now, just going to run you around some of the control functions. So the left stalk is your white or your light controls. So turn the lights on here, indicates up and down, beamers towards you, and then towards you to turn them off. When the lights are off, this just acts as a flasher for the front lights. Your wiper controls are on the opposite side. They go down for the various different programs. So you would have off, intermittent, normal speed, and a higher speed. You then have an intermittent timer control just here. So long intervals all the way around to short intervals. The wash wipe is just bringing the control stalk towards you. Just hold it down until you see the water squirt and the wiper start actioning. The longer you hold it, the more water will squirt. The horn is located on the steering wheel itself. Just give it a good push to activate the horn. Located on the lower stalk just down here is the cruise control and speed limit control mode. So there's two symbols on here. The lower symbol, this one here, is your limiter. So you activate that, and then you use the control stalk up and down to select the speed that you need. When you hold the stalk in position, the speed indicator will jump in increments of 5. Cruise control is located like so. Now, cruise control will operate when the vehicle is traveling faster than about 40 miles an hour and the vehicle is selected 4th gear or above. Now, when you're ready to arm the cruise control, okay, you just select the stalk either up to engage or down to engage, and that will then activate at the speed currently being driven at. Now, you can speed the cruise control up and down by down for lowering the speed and up for increasing the speed. The button on the end here allows you to rest the cruise control. So if you are on the carriageway and you're going to go through a traffic controlled area, button press here will put the cruise control technically into like pause, and then you just press the button on the end to resume the control system, as it were. If you hold the button in, it will cancel the cruise control system. But to be honest with you, it's far faster just to switch the cruise control off. It does the same action. Automatic gearbox. So the gearbox goes through the different pro drive modes here. So you must have your foot on the brake to engage it out of park. Okay. When the gearbox is all the way down into drive mode, if you move the stalk across to the left, you can then action the gear stick in a sequential mode. So selecting down to go up a gear and selecting up to go down a gear, as it were. The gearbox will show an indicator on the dashboard to let you know what it's doing. To put it back into drive, you just push the gear stick back across the way and that goes into drive mode. You do have various sort of engine options on here. So you have an economy mode as well as a normal mode. You just press the control button here to engage which version you want. Your dashboard indicator will appear to let you know what mode you're in. Located lower down here, you would have the heated rear windows. Now this switch is mute because there's no readers on the rear of the van. Central locking button, hazard warning, and then your hill descent mode, and then your traction control mode on or off, as it were. Heating and ventilation is located here. So this would select the fan speed. This is the temperature for the air to flow. You've then got the circulator mode just here. So this is fresh air in, fresh air not located in, so a circulation mode only. Be wary when running in circulation mode that after about 20 minutes the level of carbon monoxide inside the van will rise, and it may potentially lead to the windows start steaming up on slightly colder days. You tend to use this mode if you're in a slightly polluted area, sitting in traffic, or maybe driving past a field full of rapeseed and you don't want the pollen coming into the van. But don't forget, after a short while you will need to switch it back to fresh air mode just to allow fresh air to enter the cabin. You've then got your selector for where you want the air to flow, so you just pick which one you want. and that will allow the air to flow through to the vehicle for you. And then finally, you have your air conditioning button, which is this one here. This will light up at the top there when the air conditioning is on. Now, I would recommend that you run the air conditioning all the time in the vehicle. Air conditioning is a sort of kinetic gas, and if it's allowed to settle the pipes, it can allow the seals on the air conditioner to dry out, which could potentially lead to problems down the line. Air conditioning doesn't cost too much to run on top of the vehicle, a couple of pence per extra per mile, and it does provide a sort of nicer, cleaner experience to the air inside the cabin. Only times you maybe want to turn it off is if you're driving late at night and maybe a little bit tired. Air conditioning is a dry air and it will dry your eyes out faster, so definitely switch it off then. Or if you have passengers in the vehicle which are maybe slightly susceptible to hay fever or nasal distress, the air conditioner can maybe aggravate that a little bit as well, so you may want to turn it off just then as well. But I definitely would recommend driving most of the time with the air conditioner itself running on board. It will provide a more comfortable experience when driving, and it also could potentially just save off any problems that may occur with air conditioning down the line, as it were. Above here is your touchscreen control for the media audio system. I'm not going to go into too much depth about this. It would be just a case just to explore this on your own, but just a quick run round for you, just in case you don't find it straight away. The volume control is these two little buttons just here. The plus and the minus will allow the volume control up and down for you, as it were. And then you've got some quick options across the bottom just there as well. But I would say the easy thing to do is just explore this in a little bit more detail, and you'll soon get familiar with the control functions for that itself, as it were. So that gives you a run around of the major functions and controls of the Globecar Roadscout. I hope you find this video useful, and it makes a great reference for later. So I definitely recommend that you bookmark the video, maybe download it as your device, and you can always come back to it if you're out on your travels while venturing in your van. All that's left for me to say is to say thank you for watching the video. Again, I hope you find this useful, and yeah, have many happy miles in venturing in your new car. Thanks for now. Bye-bye.